Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today, as you all know me, it's Iraj Farooq. Today I will be making you understand the topic of classification of living things. So it's our unit 1 with me and you. So let's start. In this unit, we will learn about classification of living things, introduction to the main kingdoms, bacteria, algae, fungi, animals and plants, and classification characteristics of animals, vertebrates and invertebrates, classification characteristics of plants, flowering and non-flowering plants, and classification of flowering plants, monocot and dicot plants, characteristics of monocot and dicot plants. So let's begin. For today, our main focus would be on classification of living things. So let's start. Classification means sorting out things into groups on the basis of similarities and differences among them. Classification means sorting out things into groups on the basis of similarities and differences among them. So I've named this figure as figure 1.1. So figure 1.1 shows the three Figure 1.1 shows the three groups of objects. In each group, things are put together on the basis of some similarities among them. For example, all the things of group A are made of metals, things of group B are books, and those of group C are fruits. So in group A, that knives, spoons, and forks, they are the cutlery items. So they all are same because they all are made of metals. And the next one is the books and the fruits. So classification of living things. There are millions of living organisms in our world. Scientists have grouped them on the basis of similarities and differences in their characteristics. Grouping of living organisms on the basis of some similarities and differences in their characteristics is called classification of living things. So, is the definition of classification of living things. Grouping of living organisms on the basis of some similarities and differences in their characteristics is called classification of living things. Classification of living things is essential for making their study easier. During classification, scientists examine the characteristics of an unfamiliar organism and find its proper group. They also suggest name for the organism for its identification. So, how classification of living things is essential for us? Not for us, for the scientists or for us. Okay. For making scientists study easier to examine the characteristics of an unfamiliar organism and to find its proper group of the unfamiliar organism, and to also suggest name for the organism for its identification. So till now it's fine. So our first part of the topic is finished. Inshallah we'll meet you tomorrow. Aye. Till now, Allah Hafiz.